There is another lady out here. She hasn't put out any recent material. I had left a comment on one of her videos, and she said she was thinking about putting out more, maybe in the near future, which is cool because, I mean, I have heard about people that are on TikTok that are even putting out anti-AA stuff, which I think is really great. I mean, it would be great if you could kind of start a collective of people out there, kind of like what happened in the mid-2000s, when people, in response to the Bush administration, you had all of a sudden this wave of atheists all over YouTube. It kind of changed the public conversation about it at the time. Would love to see a whole wave of anti-AA YouTubers and TikTokers and social media influencers, or people who just managed to quit drinking without AA. Kind of start a whole new alternative. But there was somebody, I don't remember which video of hers it was that I had left a comment on about the idiocy of AA, but somebody had left me the thing out of the How It Works, and it had been a while since I had looked at their stupid, shitty book, but they told me I obviously did not understand AA. You know how many times AA members have told me that over the years? You obviously never went to an AA meeting. You obviously never worked the steps. You obviously never had a sponsor. Do they really? Is it because they don't have any other recourse or any other rebuttals that they have to come up with that kind of stuff, or is it? Or are they really that delusional? Because that's what I get 90% of the time from AA people. You obviously never went to a real AA meeting. No, I was in AA over a decade, 11 some odd years, but I never went to an AA meeting. Never had a sponsor. No, I had several of them, and they were all pieces of shit for the most part. There was one I kind of liked, but anyway. Never worked any steps, even though I went to step study meetings and big book step study meetings. And now, big book meetings, there were big book study meetings, and there were step studies. There were boring tradition study meetings. I feel sorry for anybody that was forced to sit through those chaired meetings. Was one of the coffee people at one time. Was even a literature person at one point. But I never went to AA, never had a sponsor, don't know anything about the program. But he left me the thing that they say at the end of every AA meet, in the beginning of every AA meeting, and How It Works. They said, I obviously did not understand the ABCs of the program. The ABCs of the program. What is this, fucking Sesame Street? But it was that we're alcoholic and could not manage our own lives, that no human power could have relieved us of our alcoholism, and that God could and would if he was sought. But I thought I could have any kind of higher power I wanted. I thought my higher power could be the piano there. That antique piano from the 19th century that's behind me that doesn't belong to me. Can't that be my higher power? Is it a him? I mean, God could and would if he was sought. I thought I could have any higher power I wanted in AA. But anyway, it actually gave me the idea for this particular video, so I guess I should say thanks to the idiot, but I'm not going to. But, I had said in the last video I haven't gone after the literature in a while, and that's right at the end of How It Works. I had deliberately pulled it up on my phone here so I don't have to click between screens any longer, but right after that, it says, being convinced. We were at step 3. And I said, well, I haven't attacked step 3 in a while, so I'm going to do that this week. Which is, we decided to turn our will and our life over to God as we understood him. There's that hymn again. And what is this, we decided to turn our will and lives over to God? When I got to AA in my very first AA meeting, I just wanted to quit drinking. I thought these people were going to tell me how to quit drinking. I thought they were going to give me some useful things and tips on how to deal with cravings. How to not go by the liquor store every evening, or how to, I thought they were going to give me something fucking useful, but I got this religious fucking claptrap. Nobody was telling me I had to turn my will and my life over to God as we understood him, because if it says we understood him, then that means as the cult members understand him, and I don't agree with him. So what are we going to do there? I guess I got to die a drunken death, right? Because those who don't recover are constitutionally incapable of being honest, But if they're constitutionally incapable of being honest, how are they going to know that they can turn their will and their life over to the care of God as we understood him? I mean, this is one little sentence, and it's already so contrived and so full loaded with logical fallacies and fucked up that it's pathetic. How did I ever fall for this? The first requirement is that we can be, here's this we shit again, that we can be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. The first requirement is that we be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. Well, Who gets to make that rule? Bill W. that made millions off of this thing. Who made this rule? I mean, where is it the first requirement? Who guarantees that? How was that formulated? Did you have scientific research? Did you have facts and figures outside of 100 some odd members where you were typing this book out, probably drinking while you were doing it? And now you've come up with this idea, the first requirement that we have to all understand here. What he really means when he says that, he means all you stupid fucks out there. He doesn't mean himself. Bill Wilson was above all that kind of thing. But you have to be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. Well, can you define to me what a life run on self-will means, first of all? Anything that we pretty much do in life, whether it means getting up in the morning and going to work and following our responsibilities and paying our bills, has to do with self. You know why I pay my utility bill? Because I don't want my electricity cut the fuck off. You know why I pay my internet bill? Because I like having the internet and being able to use it. Do you know why that I work every day? Because I need certain responsibilities have to be fulfilled. Do you know why that I quit drinking? Because it's good for me. It's beneficial to my life. So define to me what you mean by a life run on self-will. Define to me what that even means. If you're just saying a life on self-will can't be a success, what are you talking about? I mean, success how? Success is being like these rich, greedy fucking politicians that lie and steal from us every single day? Is that what you call success? What do you call success? Define the word success. You mean not drinking? Millions of people do that on their own self-will. Christ, one little sentence and it's ridiculous. On that basis, we are almost always in collision with something or somebody, even though our motives are good. What do you mean collision with something or somebody? You got, well, in today's world, you got almost 7 billion people on the planet. That's 7 billion personalities. You're not going to get along with and agree with everybody all day, every day. Not to mention all the crooks and the schemers and the con artists out there. When I have a problem with my car and I take it to the mechanic and I pray desperately, don't really literally pray. It's a figure of speech. So no old-timer, don't get happy. See there, you pray, you have faith. No. They do that underhanded shit in the meetings, by the way. But I'm hoping he doesn't rip me off. Okay? Of course I'm in collision with people all the time. I'm not convinced that 99% of the world has my best interest at heart. Only I know what my best interests at heart are. Only I know the best interest, in my opinion, of the people I care about. But I'm not just going to walk up to some stranger and say, you know what, I'm not going to collide with you today. I'm not going to do like that song, You and I Collide. I'm not going to do it because it's a life run on self-will. Of course we're in collision with people all the time. We're in collision with our health. We're in collision with the weather. We're in collision with everything. So what is he talking about, even though our motives are good? Each person is like an actor who wants to run the whole show, is forever trying to arrange the lights, the ballet, the scenery, and the rest of the players in his own way. Well, an actor doesn't do that. An actor follows what the director says. I mean, I get what he's talking about, but at the same time, who doesn't do that? Are you going to tell me that when you get a paycheck, you don't try to sit down and you don't try to figure out, well, now, which bill should I pay this month? Which bill should I pay this week? I think I'll pay this bill this week because I won't miss that. Besides that, next week I'm going to have to do some overtime and I'll have a bigger check that week so I can pay that bill next week. I mean, of course you try to manage your own life. I mean, when you get up in the morning and you see a warning light come on in your car, you don't say, well, I don't know what to do. I guess I'll have to get down on my knees and pray. I better not get an oil change because I just don't know what the fuck to do. I mean, of course, when something pops up in your mind, you know what? There's a loved one that's got a birthday coming up. I wonder what I need to get them. I got this that I got to fulfill. I got this that I got to fulfill. You're telling me that you can't do any of that because you have a drinking problem? I mean, drinking gets in the way of you being able to accomplish things in life. But you're telling me that you're in collision with everybody because you believe in self-will. I mean, this is absurd. Okay. Everybody, including himself, would be pleased. The arrangements would only stay put. If only people would do as he wished, the show would be great. Life would be wonderful. Well, of course everybody feels that way. How many of you people out there feel like if everything kind of went the way that you wanted it to go today, like if your boss wasn't a fucking asshole and called out sick from work and then you found out that your asshole boss got fired, or if you didn't have that difficult coworker to deal with, the one that's always running behind everybody's backs and telling lies in the break room and sucking up to the manager, or what if, you didn't have the city you live in jacking up your tax rates or the groceries going up? What if you didn't have to deal with inflated gas prices and things like that? You're telling me that nobody normal feels that way at all. That, you know, that's delusional. Our actor may be kind, considerate, patient, generous, even modest, and self-sacrificing, so you're saying he's an ordinary human being. On the other hand, he may be mean, egotistical, selfish, and dishonest, but as with most humans, he's more likely to have varied traits. You mean people are nuanced? Is that what you're trying to say? You just got through saying that a life run on self-will can't be done. You're saying that everybody who's an alcoholic is like some weird actor that wants the entire world to operate according to his will. And now you're just saying, well, he's just like everybody else. He's just got a mixture of good and bad like everybody else. Which one is it? What usually happens? The show doesn't come off very well. Well, I mean, that's life. I don't think there's anybody in the world that says, you know what? My week didn't go the way I wanted it to go, and therefore the world is crumbling to an end, and I must commit suicide or jump off a cliff or something. I think everybody knows that. Ever heard of the saying about Murphy's Law? You know, nothing's as easy as it seems. Everything takes longer than you expect. If anything can go wrong, it will. I mean, everybody out there can raise your hand to this. Is it not true that on a morning when you're running late, that's when you catch every stoplight? That's when there's a traffic jam? Is it not true that every morning you oversleep with the alarm clock? That's when the coffee machine doesn't work? Is it not true that you can do a perfect job at work, but the one time that your asshole boss walks by you, that'll be the one time you fuck up? I mean, that's life in general. It's not like there's some major fucking catastrophe that most people don't know how to deal with. Most people accept that as a very normal occurrence. He begins to think life doesn't treat him right. Everybody feels that way from time to time. He decides to exert himself even more. He becomes still more demanding and gracious, as the case may be. Well, you're just describing ordinary people going about their fucking lives. Wait a minute, I even lost my place with this now. Still, the play does not suit him. Admitting he may somewhat be at fault, he's sure that other people are more to blame. Nah, I don't think most ordinary people feel that way. I think most ordinary people have a tendency to be more hard on themselves than they do to blame other people. Nobody likes people like that, for one thing. Have you ever had the coworker, or have you ever had the boss, or have you ever had the family member that, you know, nothing's ever their fault, it's always everybody else's fault? They're never in the wrong. They may be a little bit in the wrong. They may give you an apology like, oh, okay, well, I may have been out of line about that, but you got to admit, you people are way worse than I am. Nobody likes assholes like that. And you can't you can't make me believe that with some sweeping generalization that everybody that has a drinking problem is like that. I think Bill W. is just describing himself. I mean, we know he was an egomaniac. We know he was a crooked, low-down, backstabbing, cheating, lying, two-timing son of a bitch. So probably he's just projecting onto everybody who has a drinking problem what's wrong with him. And did he turn his will and life over to the care of God? No, he made a nice fat profit off of AA. Okay. He becomes angry, indignant, self-pitying. Well, lots of people become angry, indignant, self-pitying. Those are not crimes against humanity. You know, what is his basic trouble? Is he not really a self-seeker even when trying to be kind? That is the biggest pile of shit that I used to see people say in an AA meeting. You know, one time I remember there was a guy that was panhandling right out, and I happened to have $5 extra, and I handed it to him, and they said, you only did that so you could feel good about yourself. You only did that so you could feel good about yourself. It's more fucking projecting, to be honest with you. You know, I'll tell you why I did it. You know why I did it? Because I've been where he's been, dickhead. I've been in that position. I've been the guy who doesn't have a dime to his name. I've been the guy that's been walking down the street and nobody will give a ride to. I've been in that position. I know what it feels like. It's called empathy, you fucking morons. But there again, this is more projection. Is he not a victim of the delusion that he can wrest satisfaction and happiness out of this world if only he manages well? Wait a minute. Trying to manage your life well, trying to find happiness and satisfaction out of doing the right things, and trying to exercise personal responsibility is a fucking delusion? That's a delusion? Who knows? Oh my God. What is his basic trouble? Well, what is his basic trouble? I have a feeling Bill W. is going to tell me all about it. Is it not evident to all the rest of the players that these are the things that he wants? Well, of course. What? That doesn't even make sense. And do not his actions make each of them wish to retaliate, snatching all they can to get out of the show? You're creating some imaginary scenario that doesn't happen. You're creating some imaginary scenario that I roll out of bed every morning because I had a problem with drinking, that I want the entire world to bow and behave the way I want it to, and that everybody is constantly retaliating against me because I'm trying to exert some kind of iron tyranny over everybody. Are you sure you're not projecting here, Bill? Are you sure you're just not making sweeping generalizations based on your own character and claiming that everybody who has a drinking problem is the one doing this? I mean, this is a pile of shit. How could I have ever fallen for this? You know, our actor is self-centered, egocentric, as people like to call it nowadays. Egocentric has been around a very, very, very fucking long time, longer than the 1930s. He's like the retired businessman who lolls in the Florida sunshine in the winter complaining of the sad state of the nation. But that's stupid. That's fucking stupid. Of course, if you're a retired guy in Florida and you open up the newspaper and you hear about the possibility of the stock market crumbling due to the fact that the nation is about to default on its debts. Of course, if you're looking at the newspaper about mass school shootings and other things that are troubling our nation, of course, you're not going to say, oh, I'm just going to sit here and soak up the sun and not give a flying fuck about the state of the nation. Maybe the guy in Florida has children and grandchildren, and he's worried about what kind of world they're going to come up in. My God, is this not fucking-yotic? I had to turn it into 3 words here. The minister who sighs over the sins of the 20th century. Well, that would be Bill W. here with all his moral proselytizing and his moral preaching. And to be honest, I don't think the ministers have a moral high ground to stand on. Politicians and reformers who are sure all the world would be utopia if the rest of the world would only behave. You're fucking joking, right? You're fucking joking. You think politicians care about the world behaving? They just want to pad their fucking pocketbooks. I mean, the outlaw and the safecracker who thinks society has wronged him. Well, I hate to bring it to you, but yeah, there's a lot of people in economically disadvantaged communities that society has wronged, but I don't guess Bill gives a fuck about that, right? And the alcohol who has lost it all and locked up. Whatever our prostrations are not most of us concerned with ourselves, our resentments, or our self-pity. Yeah, most of us are concerned with ourselves. You know, I mean, we don't exist in some subatomic particle level where we're totally connected to everybody like Luke fucking Skywalker with the Force. Of course, the only way we can interpret the world is through the sensory data that we get through our 5 senses and the information that processes through our brain. But then, of course, the next thing that he's going to go towards, he's got the answer. You know, he's got the answer here. In other words, that whole entire painful, boring couple of fucking chapters was just to set you up to fall for his trap. He's saying, you're all these things. You're this selfish and self-centered actor. And here's the vulnerable guy over here who's drinking and whose life is spiraling out of control, and he's trying to hold it all together, but he's thinking, it's true, Bill W.'s right, I got to capitulate, I got to suck the cock of AA for the rest of my life. You know, I mean, maybe I shouldn't have said that, that's kind of obscene, but anyway, it's just ridiculous. This whole fucking thing is ridiculous. This is a setup for failure right here. And then he's going to say selfishness and self-centeredness. Well, I could get started on that, but I'm already 19 minutes into this. I just think that's ridiculous. I mean, I just think that the whole entire paragraph, what he's doing here is he's pleading with you to, he's giving you a sweeping generalization, a sweeping prescription for this is your problem, this is what's wrong with you, this is why you're the way you are, because you're selfish, self-centered, and you're an actor living a double life. And you just got to be convinced that that's all bad for you. And even though those things don't apply to you, he's created a straw man. He's created something that doesn't exist. He's painted that as something that's what you are because you have a drinking problem. And now he's telling you that the only way to get out of this mess, and it's a mess that doesn't exist, it's a mess that he created, is by falling for his cult religion. It's so painfully freaking obvious here. Anyway, 19 minutes, I'm gonna have to stop here, or I'll have to break that up into more parts. I may go after more literature later on. We'll see. Chime in on the comments and tell me, do you ever feel incredulous that you ever fell for any of this shit? Do you ever feel like, you know, that you're just, it's like, I read this stuff now and I wonder how I ever took any of it seriously, but I think that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that we're able to see through this now, you know? Anyway, until next time.